Hi, everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the November edition of NeQter Labs Town Hall. It's a little bit early by like 1 minute, I think, so we'll give a few more seconds for people to join in. For those of you who are here today, it's going to be a pretty light webinar today. Just going to recap all of the updates from 2.20.0 that we went over last time, and I'm sure Patrick will also be touching upon the changes in the CMMC hemisphere. If you want to have any questions, please just post them at any time. Even if it's not directly related to what we're going over at the moment, we're always happy to answer any and all questions. I will pass things over to Patrick from here.
All right, thanks, Nick. Yeah, hey, everybody. We're just going to be rehashing a little bit of the updates that we've had and talking about CMMC, as well as talking about, we did have a show that we did, or rather a webinar, and just going to tease a little bit about what we have coming out in our next update, but looking to shore up kind of the details of when exactly that's going to come out and what it's going to include. So going back just a couple months, but this was a major update, 2.19.3. So I actually went back and redid some of the screen grabs because we've added some more functionality to the reports in the past two updates. One of the ones that has gotten a lot of attention and people really like has been the vulnerability delta report. This allowing us to see changes over time to a scheduled task. So between, now and the last time it ran, what's been changing or detected when it comes to vulnerabilities. So the report really allows you to see the difference of new and unchanged and mitigated vulnerabilities, as well as giving you a breakdown by host. So a couple different things that report allows you to do. If you haven't turned that one on already, we recommend that you do, just because that kind of paints a nice picture, kind of visualizing what you can kind of already see in the vulnerability timeline, as well as on the vulnerabilities dashboard. Another one that's a nice kind of overview that allows you to kind of take with you what you already have on the Spurs report that's within the compliance tool that you can expand out and see at each assessment objective level. This one kind of scrunches it down to just the controls, so 110, but provides you with a summary of objectives that are complete, their status, and points gained or lost. So you get a nice kind of summary view at the family level, and then breaking down each control for NIST. And with one of the recent changes with CMMC, with the 32 CFR rule coming out, which I'll rehash as well, one of the things that they will be doing with CMMC is copying the Spurs scoring. Same methodology, same points. It's just a copy paste essentially of the point-based system for NIST 800.171. So we're going to provide that in the platform as well. So if you have a CMMC framework, it's going to have a Spurs score, and that's going to be a future update that we provide. And then one of the things, and this kind of leads into the next section, talking about secure syslog. One of the ones that we've added is CrowdStrike, a support with secure with syslog specifically, and then secure syslog as we get into update 2.20 with Sentinel-1. So we have CrowdStrike support, just like any other syslog integration, just pushing it right into NeQter, selecting CrowdStrike, and then gets its own treatment, gets its own parsing and dashboard. So you'll be able to see the outcomes and severity levels and actions and users that are happening with CrowdStrike. So as I just mentioned, secure syslog support. So some apps support this. Some cloud apps actually have secure syslog output over port 6514, and you'll just push it right into NeQter, and it's just going to be in that same syslog inputs area. There's no difference between syslog and secure syslog, just pointing it right to NeQter. The only difference that will need to be made is, of course, just making that port available to NeQter through your firewall rules and settings. And just to kind of rehash update 2.20, as I just alluded to, Sentinel-1 is now supported with secure syslog configuration. So again, just making sure that that port is available to reach NeQter so that we can stream those logs in. It's basically the same dashboard format as the CrowdStrike integration, seeing outcomes, severity levels, actions, categories, and users and addresses. So you'll be able to see geographically where things are occurring, if things were cleaned or quarantined or anything that CrowdStrike is or Sentinel-1 is performing. And one of the things that really has gotten a nice enhancement, even though it is a new feature as of this year, we redid reports a little bit to add some more functionality. One of the things that we added was the ability to allow for a on-demand report to send an email. So you can run the report and download it, but you can also run it and it will automatically send an email when that report is run. That was a request that we got. We were able to slap that in rather quickly. So again, kind of having a nice call and response to things that you may ask for can get worked into the platform. Another thing that got added was just the ability to have the scheduled reports to also run now, or also send an email. One, to test the email and to see what the email looks like and the format of it, to ensure receipt of that report rather than waiting around for the schedule to run and have that email get sent. And also the ability to run that report now. Just maybe you've done something custom. You didn't want to load it up into on-demand and then have to reload it up into schedules or report schedules. So now you can kind of, test that report before you save it. And you can also send that email to manually trigger getting that kind of a test email. And also just the overall look and appearance of the flyout itself when you either schedule a report or create an on-demand report. It's just a lot cleaner. It's more reflective of a lot of the UI of the rest of NeQter. So that's also been something. So you can kind of kick out and also pare down and kind of organize that view a little bit better. Maybe you don't want to see vulnerability reports or something, so you just can collapse those modules now in that flyout. And one of the things that we added as well is just, and this is for maybe larger companies or companies that just have more users than on the smaller side. So you can search for users now if you need to quickly find someone and change their permissions within the settings area. And just kind of wrapping up update 2.20. So one of the things we've been doing, and I'll actually open up the doc site to show you some things that, as I now think about it, I didn't include in the presentation. So on these webinars, but then also in the changelog, even if the agent is the same or the agent version is the same, we state what the latest agent version is, so that you can be better informed on if you have outdated agents or if they need an update. We also added, Ubuntu and RHEL got some attention where we added support for RHEL 8 and 9, and then we reconstructed the Ubuntu agents to make sure that they're backwards compatible with 20 and 22, as well as newer versions. So those are some things that got enhanced on the agent side. So before I go into this, I'm actually just going to show a couple things on the doc site just to illustrate. So with the doc site, of course, we have just this summary here when you access the doc site to let you know just a couple themes or major things that happened with the recent update. But just to kind of reiterate, as we go into the changelog, we're able to see, go back in time and look at different versions. But we also have added this new section. So this is something that you can see in NeQter as well, of course, in the updates area in the changelog. So after you've made an update, you can see the changelog here. But we have it in the doc site. So you'll be able to see at the bottom here, agents state the latest agent version is 2.19, and then any changes that might have happened to the agents. Another thing that we've added as well is we have the ticket area here where you can submit a ticket and fill this out. And this is the best predominant way to send in a ticket, just because it has a lot of custom options that you can specify or upload and add things, or upload a file for that ticket, like a screen grab or something like that. But we also added in this separate form for submitting a feature request. So in the doc site, you can go into submit feature request, and depends on what it is. If it's a product enhancement, so something that's already there, and you think it could be improved, click on that, and then you can fill out this form here, and this will go right into our feature requests area in our internal GitHub, and we review these. So this is kind of added to our formal process. If it's a new function, like something new that could be added, like one of the things was adding scheduled reports or changes and stuff like that. So this is new function request. And then if there's a new integration, something that we need to feed in from, or a new vendor that we're not currently supporting with the purpose-built dashboard, that's what that one's going to be for. So please use this. Allows us to kind of dictate and shape where the tool kind of is going to move forward.
Pat, we do have one question in from Brian. He was noting that he has several hosts updated to Ubuntu 24 and was wondering if he should expect any issues.
I believe so. Let's if you could double check on that internally, because I believe that was one of the reasons why we had to dip back into 22 and 20, is because we had to ensure backwards compatibility, because the new build was on 24. But we'll just if I keep going and you could kind of confirm that, just so we can get the right answer for Brian.
Yep, I'm on that now. Sorry.
Yep. So when it comes to the so between now and the last time we met, because we met at the top of the month of October, the 32 CFR has officially come out, has officially been released. So October 15th, 2024 was when the 32 CFR CMMC program rule was updated and came out. There's a screen grab of the Federal Register. And so you can access the rule. It's a hefty, it's a thick rule. It's actually 470 pages or so. Most of those are comment responses from the DoD to the public that submitted questions and comments, public comments. So there's a lot of and we can probably get into this as we get into December. Just some summary points of the rule. There's a lot of good information out there, of course, of different people that are reporting on changes and reporting on kind of what the DoD confirmed, because this is final. There's no more comments. There's no more changes. It's fully baked. And there's a lot of good clarifications in there, a lot of good wins when it comes to things like defining a cloud service provider, an external service provider, a managed service provider, CSP, ESP, MSP, what constitutes security protection asset data, or SPD, FedRAMP requirements for CUI. So there's a lot of clarification and points that were made in the rule that are some can consider, or most people consider, as wins for the defense industrial base. So ultimately, this rule came out on October 15th with a time delay of when it's going effective, and that date is going to be December 16th. So Merry Christmas. So this rule here is solidifying and formalizing the CMMC program. There's no changes. It's fully formalized and recognized. And then the 48 CFR, which is currently, which was released on or published on August 15th as a proposed rule. So it did have a open comment period that happened for 60 days. That is closed as of October 15th. So whomever reached out and submitted comments, they're going to be going through those, answering them, tabulating them, going through the final formal review process. So because of kind of averages of how long rules take, it's probably going to be final in September or summertime frame. And then, of course, we'll have a 60-day delay of effective date. So it's probably going to be Q4 of 2025, Q4 of next year, that the final rule will be deployed, and the requirement of CMMC can be legally and formally written into contracts. So I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about that. There's a lot on the airwaves about all this stuff, but it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. 32 is programs live and recognized. 48 can be formally, can start to show up in your contracts from the DoD. Now, having said that, it's up to the discretion of the primes or different suppliers. They could say, we require this to do business with our company. Right now, they could say, well, CMMC, as of December, you can go and get a certification. You can go and get a cert from a authorized C3PAO. So go and do that. So that's kind of up to the discretion of the individual companies. But the DoD can't enforce or require anything until this one here, 48, comes out final. So that's what's been happening. So there's a whole lot of nothing, and then everything is in a tight 90-day window, or things just happen one right after the other. And something I haven't added a slide for, just because it's also kind of nebulous, kind of murky, is a NIST 800-171, or the FAR CUI rule, kind of came out of slumber and it has kind of been reactivated to go through its review process. So outside of defense, DFARS, FAR CUI might be introducing itself or starting to be formalized into rulemaking going into next year. So that's everything with that. So this was something, and we got a questions on this, so I keep bringing it up because sometimes, some people are behind or focus on other stuff. This came out in May when the NIST 800-171 Rev 3 came out, because as a lot of you know, when the DFARS clause came out, it said current version of NIST 800-171. So if a new rev comes out, as DFARS 252-204-7012 was written, Rev 3 comes out, it's a different framework or different version of or rev of the framework. It would have meant you would have to adhere to that. So they released a class deviation that said, hey, we formally recognize that NIST 800-171 Rev 2 is going to be hard-coded into 7012 as a modification, as an official formal class deviation. Having said that, so because they didn't want to kind of rock the boat or add more burden or more requirements on people that, are Rev 2 and are trying to get CMMC, because those are, as of right now, are 1-to-1. However, they issued the release in the memo. They can retract it at any time. And as it goes into with the FAR CUI rule, separate rule for all FAR contracts, a lot of people anticipate that's going to be NIST 800-171 Rev 3, which I don't know if anyone's leafed through Rev 3 or checked it out. There's not a lot of carryover. There's a 50 to 60% increase or change of different controls as opposed to Rev 2. So it's a major undertaking, a major shift. So just to keep that in mind. So, your contracts or this memo came out to kind of hard code the NIST, Rev 2, and CMMC is coming out. But Rev 3, eventually, as we move forward the next couple years, is going to become the standard for sure. And CMMC will probably come out with a version 3 to reflect the adherence to Rev 3 of NIST. So more fun stuff for everyone involved. And I'm just going to pause. Nick, did you get an answer for that?
I've gotten the beginnings of an answer, but I have not gotten enough information yet to comment on that. I'm still hashing it out.
Okay. So if we don't get an answer by conclusion of the call, we'll reach out directly. So in terms of recent shows, there was a lot of in-person shows, and then actually one thing that I did was I actually went up and was on a cybersecurity panel for small business up in Massachusetts. That was something that I personally did in the past month for MassTech. But we also last week participated in the 2024 Virtual CMMC Summit hosted by Prevail and Amazon or AWS, and we actually participated as a gold sponsor just because we recently added in that integration with Prevail, so wanted to highlight that, and also there was a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good speakers and good information, especially kind of as I just rehashed the rulemaking and kind of next steps of CMMC. So a lot of that was part of the discussion for the summit. It wasn't really a particular highlight for products or methodologies or stuff like that. It was a good kind of informational overview of a lot of different stuff. So we had a booth. It was pretty engaging, and it was definitely a good virtual summit, because I've been a part of different virtual summits, and a lot of them are not that great, or the platform is kind of wonky. But this one went off pretty smoothly. And in terms of the rest of the year, I mean, we really only have 7 weeks or so left. We don't have currently any slated major shows that we're going to be attending or sponsoring at. We might go and attend certain stuff, but nothing concrete or nothing worth kind of mentioning on here. So as we go into the winter months, as we go into next year, we'll probably have a full slate of shows and different industry events and stuff that we are going to look to attend. But for right now, we're just going to be finishing out the year, really focusing in on what we have coming out for major version 3, version 3 of the platform, which is there's a lot of changes, kind of too numerous. There's going to be an entire dedicated webinar just for that, with all of the changes that we have with V3. One of the updates that we'll definitely have within the next few weeks or kind of early December, there's a couple different moving pieces, but one of the main themes of the next update is going to be a reworking of 365, of our 365 connection. So a couple things. One of the most major feature that we're going to be including is the ability for to pull in multiple tenants. So if you are, because this is something that we've seen increasingly more and more, where a company will kind of have a carve out or an enclave of 365 GCC or GCC High, and then the rest of the organization is on commercial. So right now with the 365 input, we can only allow for a single stream or a single tenant. So we're going to open that up and allow for multiple tenant support. And as far as I know, there's not a hard cap. So if you have 2 or 3 different tenants that you need to monitor, that's going to be something that we can support. We're also going through and redoing a lot of the parsing and just the ability to better extract different types of data in the logs for 365, kind of giving it a full treatment so that we can visualize more log types, more data, more outcomes. So 365 is getting a lot of attention in the next update. And there's also some other small fixes and improvements that we're going to have that I'll be able to speak to better next webinar, start of December. But just wanted to kind of clue you into, we're constantly working. We're constantly getting a feature request. So please use that. Please use those forums. Or of course, if you have a ticket or need support, those forums are also the best method of doing so. So yeah, that's kind of what we have slated for at least the next 4 weeks. We'll know more as we kind of wrap up the year, and I'm hoping for personally, concrete date for when version 3 is going to be introduced, because that's going to be really, really something. So Nick, did we have any other questions come in? Anyone who has any questions or wants to review something or wants to look at a particular functionality or report or what have you, now's the time to do it.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions at the moment. Brian, I'm most likely gonna have to email you as a follow-up to your Ubuntu 24 question. I just want to make sure I have a full answer for you and not half an answer before I respond. But yeah, I will let you know if any other questions come in. Pat, looks like it's all quiet on the Western Front for now.
Well, it's going to be very loud today. Hopefully everyone's either gotten out already or going later to vote, fulfill your civic duty. So it was funny, a couple of weeks ago, I was like, oh, the webinar is going to be on election day. So, I'm sure there'll be lot more exciting news than this webinar here. But always happy to host this, and we like the monthly pacing just because we get to review things or somebody missed something and they're able to show up. And of course, as a reminder, all of these are recorded. They are uploaded to our YouTube channel, so you can go back and rehash and review. And if you have any questions, to come up in between now and then, you can reach out to us directly or wait until the next webinar to get those things covered. So I think we're good to wrap up unless any other last minute questions or comments come in.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything else come in. So I'm gonna say we are good to go here, Pat.
Awesome. Well, everyone have a great rest of November. Hope you don't eat too much on Turkey Day, Thanksgiving coming up, and we're gonna go into the holiday season with some exciting updates. So appreciate all your time. Hope to see you on the next one. And with that, we will close out the webinar.